In this video, I'm completely transforming a plains village in hardcore Minecraft. And my goal for this project is to build a custom cozy home for each of the different villager professions. Of course, I'll also be adding all kinds of little details to make the whole village feel alive. I'm seriously so excited to get started on this project, as I've been wanting to do something like this for a really long time. And the awesome thing about this village that I want to transform is that it's just on the other side of the water and super close to our island base. The only issue is that this river is in the way, so we can't actually walk to it, but luckily I'm a 2000 IQ planner and brought some blocks along with me so we can make a bridge. I went for a pretty simple design, just using a variety of different stone blocks in combination with tuff and a few lanterns to light the whole thing up. It's not the grandest of bridges, but I still think it's going to make a really nice entry point to our brand new village build. There was just one final detail that I wanted to add, and that's some pale hanging moss and hanging roots, just to look like some algae growing along the underside of the bridge. But with that in place, let's use our bridge for the very first time and get started on the next task, which is cutting down all of these trees so we can better see the area that we're working with. It's been about 10 minutes and I think I've gotten rid of all the trees that are going to be in the way. And the next step is to get rid of all of the villager houses because I want to build my own better ones. Before I get too carried away though, we better go visit our XP farm and repair our tools, because as you can see, my axe is about to break. And there she is, our good old Enderman XP farm. I really should build some sort of fence or something around this because it is kind of sketchy, but anyways, let's repair all of our gear. And just like that, our axe, as well as all of our other kind of backup tools, are fully repaired, so let's go home. And before I forget, let's also swing by our villager trading hall, as I am almost completely out of food. We can just go ahead and buy some golden carrots from our farmer, and that'll hold us off for at least a little while. I'm not really sure how much time it'll save us, but I do have a nether star, so I want to go ahead and craft that into a beacon. And let's also swing by our harbor, as this warehouse right here has an iron farm inside of it. And I haven't checked in. Oh no. Oh, it's all backed up, isn't it? I should really add an auto crafter to this thing, but that's a future problem. Anyway, let's go ahead and turn this all into iron blocks, and then we can use this to power the beacon. Let's just go ahead and set this up right in the middle of the village. It's been so long since I've made one of these, but if I'm remembering correctly, it should be 9 blocks. I think that's 9. I don't know, it's kind of hard to count, to be honest. Let's just build up the rest of it and we'll find out. Last layer is in place, so we can place down the actual beacon now, and sweet, looks like we got some achievements. Let's do haste 2, check mark, and yeah, sweet. I feel kind of bad about this, but we now need to get rid of all of these default vanilla houses to make room for our new, better ones. The villagers are probably just like, what is going on right now? What is happening to my house? But I'm sorry guys, I promise I'll build you some new ones soon. About 20 minutes later, and all of the houses are gone. I don't want the villagers to wander too far, so I just had the idea of putting down a bunch of beds as well as the village bell, and hopefully they'll all just kind of group around this area. The next thing I want to do is terraform the area, so let's grab all of this dirt as well as grass that we have in our storage room and just throw it into some shulker boxes. That's probably not nearly enough, but I just remembered I should. Yeah, sweet, I have a bit more in here at least. But even with this, it's still probably not going to be enough, but let's see how far we can get. Turns out I needed to remove quite a few blocks anyway, so it worked out in the end. And after 2.5 hours of terraforming, the area was ready to go. It might still look a little weird in a few spots, like right here for example, and that's just because I left a few spots open to build some custom boulders. And that's exactly what I want to do next, but before we get too carried away, let's go ahead and tear down this beacon. Beacon is all torn down. Let me just grab all of these iron blocks and hopefully I don't miss any, as that'll be kind of annoying. With that taken care of, let's go grab all the materials we need to build the boulders. I mainly just want to use stone, andesite, and tuff, so okay, I actually have quite a bit here. That's probably enough tuff. I'll probably need some more stone, but I guess we'll see. I'll take the slabs as well. And the last thing is andesite, which, okay, I have 6 andesite and 5 slabs. That is not going to cut it. For now anyways, let's just go ahead and throw all the stone as well as tuff just into this shulker box. And because I still do have all the beacon supplies on us, I think let's just go down into our mine and set it up again so we can easily gather up a bunch of andesite. But I think it makes the most sense to build it closer to bedrock, just so that we have the ability to mine up tuff and deep slate as well, or we can go higher up to get, you know, andesite, granite, stone, and all of that other stuff. And there's a certain spot that I want to build it, as I have a pretty fun idea, so let's get to digging. Alrighty, I've got a decent sized room dug out now, and I also planned exactly where I want the beacon to go, so let's go ahead and build up all of this iron once more. Okay, last layer, and let's throw the beacon right back on top. Back at the surface, if my coordinates are correct, I should be able to dig right under this pumpkin. Okay, not this, this is my mega terraforming. If I keep digging down, we should land right on top of the beacon. Kinda breaking the #1 Minecraft rule and digging straight down right now, but I'm sure it'll be fine. Okay, we're at deep slate now, so we should hit it any second. Kinda running into some caves here. Let's just ignore those, keep going down. And, oh, okay, sweet, that actually worked. And kind of right in the beam, but that seems to be working. Nice. And just like that, we have haste 2, which is amazing. The only issue is that the beacon beam is now visible from the surface, which I really don't like. Kinda kills our cozy village vibes. And I'm absolutely hot garbage at doing redstone, but I really want to try to make some sort of mechanism to turn the beacon beam off and on. Just grabbed a bunch of redstone, and I'll also take these redstone torches, a repeater, I'll need 1 lever, and I'll also need a few slime balls. Okay, that's a good start, but we're also going to need some pistons, and then using those slime balls, we'll turn those into sticky pistons. And we're also going to need some repeaters, so first let's make some redstone torches, and then turn all of those into repeaters. And that should hopefully be everything we need, so let's give this a try. And it's probably a bit of a safety hazard to be doing redstone in the rain, but hopefully we don't get electrocuted. Okay, so let's first just get flashbanged. Oh, why did I just do that? Oh, I could have just fallen down the whole hole and... Okay, we're good. Okay, that's pretty dumb though. Ignoring the fact that I almost just popped our first totem, I went ahead and got all of the redstone in place. As you can see, the beam is going all the way up to the surface right now, but if we flick this lever, it patches that hole up, the beam stops, and same thing again, if we flick it, the beam comes back, and we're good to go. But of course, I don't really want to come down here to flick the lever every single time, so I want to connect a redstone line going all the way over to our mine entrance. And I think it'll just be easiest to start from this side and work our way over. And I'm thinking this block right here, we can place a lever, and then I'll do a sign right here. And this one will say off, and we'll do another sign below, and you'll never guess, this one is gonna say on. Okay, let's go ahead, turn that on right now, and then if we hop behind the thing, we can just start running some redstone, going all the way over to that redstone contraption that we just made. And then whenever the redstone signal kind of dies out like this, all we need to do is just place a repeater, and then we can continue on with our redstone dust. And I think we're also a little bit low, so let's start staircasing up. Brought ourselves up and over, and I can see the finish line, just a little bit more to go. Okay, and if this is working correctly, these last few pieces should power it on. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so now we should be able to use that lever to turn the thing off and on now. As you can see, the beacon beam is definitely on right now, so let's run into here and flick it to the off position, just to make sure that it's actually working. So if we run back over, hopefully it should be gone. And yeah, it is. That's pretty awesome. Honestly, I am pretty surprised and happy that we got that to work first try, but now that it does work, let's flick it on and go mine some andesite. And I think we just have to get a little bit closer to get the buff. I think we're a little out of range, should be kicking in. Yeah, okay, it's kicking in right now. Let's find some andesite and mine it up. Just found a decent sized deposit of andesite, and we're still within range of the beacon, so let's mine this all up. And I have to say, having instamine is really nice. Not even 2 minutes later, and I already have 8 stacks of andesite. This buff is seriously overpowered. And while we're down here, let's just go ahead and also grab a decent amount of stone just to make sure that we have enough. I divided everything into some different shulkers, so we have andesite here, this next one has stone, and this last one has some tuff that we had from earlier. But now that we have all of those materials, let's get to building some boulders. Hold on, one more distraction, just gotta quickly turn this off. I mean, what did we do all that work for? Okay, no more distractions, it is boulder building time. The boulders themselves are pretty simple, but I think they really help take the terrain to the next level. And I built quite a few of them along the water's edge as the drop-off was pretty steep, so I think it looks a lot more natural. The terrain is looking really awesome and personalized now, and the next thing I want to get started on is getting some pathways in, so first things first, let's go gather up all of the materials. Back in our storage house once again, I grabbed some wheat as well as mud I had in storage, and then crafted a few stacks of packed mud. We're also going to need some granite, but luckily I had some in our storage room already. After that, I flew around until I found an azalea tree, and once I spotted one, I dug underneath it and gathered up all of the rooted dirt. And when I hit the lush cave at the bottom, I also found a few diamonds, which was a nice little bonus. Back at the top, I went on the hunt for some coarse dirt since I was already in a taiga biome. And once I finally spotted some, I didn't waste any time and gathered up about 10 stacks or so. Just like that, we have all of the materials we need to start building the village pathways. Only one more thing to do, just gotta dig out all of the grass blocks to make room for the actual pathway. All the space is cleared out for the pathways, which is great, but I just noticed something, and that's that I haven't seen a single villager. I've been looking around, I checked by these beds, I think that they all died. We have some other villagers on the island that we can bring over, but rip to these original guys. I kind of tore down all their houses and they all just got unalived, so yeah, rip. I guess there's nothing we can really do about it now, so let's go ahead and build the pathways. I of course built them up using all the blocks we just gathered, and while I was at it, I also went ahead and laid out the foundations for all of the different villager houses that I want to build. I know it's not much, but having the terrain in and the pathways and all of these foundations is getting me super excited to see this all come together. And I also went ahead and labeled what I want all the buildings to be. So for example, this one here is for the shepherd, this one right here is for the leather worker, and like this one right here is going to be for the butcher. And I think it'll also be fun to make a windmill for the farmer, so that's kind of my plan for this area. And on top of this hill is something that I'm super excited about. I want to build a large church, which will of course be for the cleric. But let's start off with one of the kind of, not simpler ones, but maybe one of the smaller ones, which will be for the fisherman here, and I already went ahead and gathered up all of the materials. So let's get straight to building, and we'll just bring up the foundation a little bit more, and then I'm thinking a couple of logs just like that, and then we can do probably alternating upside down stairs and spruce slabs. I want to go for a bit of a Tudor style, so let's build that up. I think 3, this one will come up just a bit more, probably to 5, and then this one to 3 as well. And then for the rest of the wall, we'll do smooth sandstone, and then I'm thinking some of the waxed copper grates for a bit of a window, so do the same thing on this side. Bring that up just like that, we can take a step back, and yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And for the roof, I'm thinking we just keep it simple and use some deep slate. I think that's a pretty nice facade. It's pretty simple, but I really do like that Tudor style, so let me go ahead and build up the rest of the house. It's a pretty small and cozy house, but I think it's perfect for a fisherman. And we have a little staircase on the side here to get to the inside of the house, and I went ahead and got the floors and everything in, but I haven't added any details yet. But since this is for a fisherman and we're right on the water, I think it only makes sense that we build a dock. We're kind of high up on this boulder right now though, so let's just place down, okay, I'm in the water, let's just place down some ladders like that so we can easily get up and down. And then for the actual dock itself, let's just use some spruce slabs. And then for some smaller kind of platforms coming off of the main dock, let's use some trapdoors. And then to detail the dock itself, let's use a couple of grates, which to me look like crab cages. Can probably do even one more maybe right here, and then can't have a dock without a barrel, so let's do one of those. And then maybe we just throw like a boat right here. Sweet, I think that's a dock. Just took the boat for a little spin so we could see it better, but I really like this vibe here of the dock built into the boulders. That is really nice. I'm really digging the style of this house, and I think I want to build the rest of the houses in the village in a similar style, so let's swing by our house again and gather up more materials. I spent close to an hour in our storage room, crafting items and digging through my chests and barrels, but I managed to get most of the resources that we're going to need. That was low-key exhausting, but at least we have most of the stuff that we're gonna need now. Some of this was pretty disgusting to craft though. I mean, look at this, I had to craft 8 stacks of spruce trapdoors, like what the heck? But there's still a decent amount of stuff that we need, so let's head out into the world and get the last of the materials. Okay, the first thing I need is some bricks, so let's head over to our villager trading hall, but I think I'm out of emeralds, so I brought some sticks along with me that we can trade with this Fletcher, and I also brought a bunch of paper that we can trade with librarians. That didn't really give me as many emeralds as I thought it would, but this should be enough bricks anyways. We'll get some from this guy as well. Let's craft that into our bricks. I think that's gonna be enough. Yeah, I think so. And we're also going to need a lot of mossy cobblestone. So in this windmill here, I have a moss farm. So let's just head down here and run it for a bit, since I think all these chests are pretty low. Just gotta flick this lever here and it should turn on. Yeah, it's working, we're good. And while we're waiting, we might as well just go ahead and run our pale moss farm too. About 5 minutes have passed. Let's check these chests. Okay, we got a pretty decent amount. We just need 6 stacks, I think. And then I already have some cobblestone on me, so let's just go ahead and turn all of this into mossy cobblestone. That was a pretty easy one. I just gotta turn these farms off because if I don't, they will break, but let's go on to the next material. The next thing on my list is a bunch of stone, so let's go ahead, turn our beacon on, and head down here and gather some up. Just dug out this entire hole right here, so let's just put all of this into the shulker, and yeah, pretty much a shulker full should be plenty. We're also going to need a decent amount of regular cobblestone, so while we're here, let's get some of that too. And just like that, we got 17 stacks of cobblestone, so let's move on to the next material. And this one is also going to come from underground, as I need a ton of deep slate for all of the roofs. Bit of a bummer that you can't insta-mine this stuff with haste 2, but it is what it is, we'll just grind through it. Just dug out this entire corridor, filled up pretty much my entire inventory with deep slate. I'm kinda surprised though that I didn't bump into any diamonds, but oh well, that's alright. Heading back up to the top, just gonna quickly shut that off before I forget. And then let's use all this deep slate to craft a bunch of the deep slate, what are these, tile stairs? And I think I'm gonna need about 12 stacks, so let's just do all that up. And if I counted correctly, this should be number 12, and that should be all the stairs we need. Next material on my list is stripped spruce logs, so I'm in a taiga biome again, just stripping a bunch of the logs and chopping them down. Plenty of spruce logs have been obtained, let's head back to our base. And there's just one more material that we need that's gonna require a trip to the nether. And that block is blackstone, so let's carefully gather some of this up and get out of here. We should probably set up some sort of piglin bartering system because I'm pretty sure you can just trade for this stuff, which would be a lot safer. A little over 4 stacks is more than enough, so let's go back to the overworld. Back at our house, let's turn some of this blackstone into blackstone stairs. Probably gonna need a little bit more, just like that. We barely even have room for these in our shulker boxes. I guess we can do the logs there and I guess the stairs here. That was a really big resource grind, and to celebrate, I think it's about time that we check in on my cats. This has been a really fun project to be working on so far, and my cats have just been sleeping here the whole time, just vibing. Look over here, guys, come on. What's up? She's saying what's up. This is Munchie here, she's yawning. Mittens. This is Mittens, just chilling, but this is your reminder to like the video, everybody. Remember, 1 like equals 1 treat, but let's get back to some Minecraft. With that guilt trip over, let's grab all of these shulker boxes and head over to the build site. And I'm thinking we have a house here as well as a house here, so let's kind of build those up next to get this little corner filled in. I went for a very similar block palette as the Fisherman house, but I did switch up the second floors on them, opting for oak on one of them and birch on the other instead of sandstone. These 3 houses look amazing next to each other. I love how they're all really similar, but also kind of different. I'm kind of trying to tie into the vanilla villages a little bit, how all the houses have very similar block palettes, so that's kind of my thought process behind this. This house right here is of course the Fletcher, so I thought we could make a tiny little archery range kind of at the side of the house here, and if we throw a button on top of them, it should look like the post is going all the way through the target block. And I guess we should probably add the actual fletching table, and we can just do a lantern on top to sort of light up the area. But I was just thinking, how come this block still doesn't have an actual function? I mean, it's been in the game for how long now? They really got to do something with this. Anyway, the other house over here is for the toolsmith, and as you can see, I built a nice looking forge. I just wanted to add a couple more details to it. First off, just a bit of magma blocks right there to look like hot coals. And then beside that, let's do an anvil as well as a smithing table. And then right here, I want to make like a sort of barrel with some water in it. So if we just do 4 trapdoors, flip them up, we should be able to add some water right inside. I'm not like super knowledgeable about how these things work, but I think they would be, you know, working on the tools in here, hammering away on the anvil, and then they can like put it in the water to harden the steel or whatever. I don't know, but I think it looks cool. We also have a small covered area right here, so I was thinking we could just do some iron ore as well as coal ore, and we can just throw a lantern on top, and I think that's a really nice detailed area over here. And I had just one more idea that we can add to the other side of the house, just to detail it a little bit more. I'm thinking like a kind of pile of coal is kind of important for this type of building, so we can just kind of have it stored right here. Oh man, this village is already looking so sick, so let's not waste any time and continue building more houses. I locked in for the better part of an hour and built a house for the armorer, butcher, leatherworker, shepherd, and cartographer. Once again, even though the houses are all quite similar to each other, I added small details to each of them to help tie into the different villager professions. There's still a decent amount of kind of open patches of grass that we need to fill with details, but already just having more houses in here is making this area feel really immersive. And let's just take a look at some of the details that I already have added. For example, the leather worker right here has some kind of rolls of leather at the side of his house. I tried to make it look like these buttons are actually like a pole or something going through the leather and the leather's wrapped around it. I don't know, I think it looks cool. Another area I'm really liking is this spot right here. This is the shepherd, so I made an animal pen attached to the side of the building, and there's even a couple of entry points so the worker can, you know, bring animals inside if they need some, you know, like medical attention or something like that. I don't know, I think it's a nice vibe over here. Heading further up the hill, we have a house for the cartographer, which is looking pretty sweet if I do say so myself. But we've been building quite a few houses, so I think let's switch it up a little bit and build a windmill for the farmer. Jumping right into it, I wanted the windmill to fit the same build style as all of our houses, so to accomplish that, I used cobblestone for the base, oak wood for the main body of the tower, and deep slate for the roof. And I usually struggle with windmills quite a bit, but I'm quite satisfied with how the blades turned out on this one, which I just made out of smooth quartz. Feeling super motivated, I carried on building and constructed the final 3 houses. And these ones are for the mason, weaponsmith, and librarian. Our village is really starting to fill out. This house right here was for the mason, so I just put some kind of boulders on the side here with a stone cutter. The next house is for the weaponsmith, which turned out kind of cool because it's built right into the hillside here. And then just on the side of the house, I threw an anvil and a grindstone. And then this right here is for the librarian, which doesn't really have anything too exciting on the outside, but eventually I want to build like a little bit of a library with some bookshelves and stuff in there, but we'll get to that later. And I feel like a library makes quite a bit of sense to be right next to the church, but I mean, we still need to build this thing up, so you know what, let's do it. I think it's been at least a couple of years since I've designed a church, and I think this might be my favorite one that I've ever made. And the block palette is super simple, it's pretty much just entirely stone and stone bricks with a deep slate roof. I love how this thing came out, it definitely makes a really nice centerpiece for our village. I especially like the towers, and it's kind of hard to see, but this one is supposed to be like a bell tower. There's a bell up there. I do like all the windows on here, and at the front, I tried incorporating some of the orange stained glass, which I think looks pretty nice. The interior, however, is looking pretty bare right now, but I did go ahead and gather up a bunch of materials, so let's go ahead and build an interior for this one. I think I want the floor to drop back down, but first let's just make a bit of a platform here, and then it can come down using some stairs, and then maybe just a couple of blocks like that, and then we can build up these walls. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good entrance for ourselves, so let's go ahead and remove all these grass blocks so we can get in a proper floor. And let's just keep it super simple and stick to our... Oh wow, there's a pig down here. Sorry pig, you might be stuck down there for a while, but I was just saying let's just keep it simple and use some spruce planks. Alrighty, that's looking pretty good, but this back area I want to be a little bit higher just for, you know, like the speaker. So let's do some stairs like that, and then we'll just come up a block higher, and I think that'll be pretty good. Okay, I'm liking that, and I want to put like a lectern at the front here, so let's do some trapdoors just like that, and I think a stair facing inwards, and then we can do a lectern right there. So I'm just imagining someone can, you know, be here talking to all the villagers. I guess it's kind of what you do at a church, right? And the villagers are definitely going to need somewhere to sit, so let's go ahead and build some chairs using dark oak stairs. I mean, I guess it's a church, they'd probably be called pews, I want to say, so yeah, I don't know, you get the idea. I'm liking how that's looking, but let's also go ahead and add a couple of chairs up here at the top, just so that people can, you know, be sitting here too. And to help break up all of this spruce, let's go ahead and use some red carpet. And this wall right here is where the bell tower is. I put a chain kind of going all the way up to the bell. So I'm thinking we just do like a trap door right here to kind of, I don't know, hide it a little bit, but somebody could come here, open this, ring the bell, I guess, and close it. And to help break up this large stone wall, I'm thinking a couple of paintings will look good. That's not the size that I want though. Let me try that. Yeah, that works. Let's do not that one, not that one, not that one. Man, there's a certain one that I'm looking for. Come on. Come on, this is like gambling, I swear. Like, what is going on? Please, I know it exists. What? Oh, that was it. Oh, come on. Why is this so difficult? Please, just give me the painting. I'm begging. I won't delete it this time. Maybe. There we go. Yeah, I think this one has angels on it, so I think it makes sense for a church. And I just added another painting on this side as well, and I think these two go pretty well together. And I'm quite liking this red carpet, so let's go ahead and build one kind of going down the center of the aisle here. Okay, I'm liking that, and I did just leave a few spots open so we can hide some lanterns, and then we'll just go ahead and cover them up with the carpet again, just like it's not even here, and it'll help light up the area. And because this church is supposed to be for the cleric, I'm thinking we just put a bed here, which kind of looks like a bench, and then we can just put a little shelf here using trapdoors and put some brewing stands on top. I repeated the same thing on this side. It's pretty discreet, and at least the villagers will have somewhere to sleep and they can access their workstations. It's looking pretty good, but I do want to get rid of all these torches and kind of fill this space here, so let's go ahead and build a few chandeliers. Chandeliers are all in place and looking good, so let's go ahead and get rid of all of these temporary torches. That's looking a whole lot better without all those temporary torches, and I know this isn't really the most detailed interior ever, but I'm trying to keep the interiors simple as I don't want the villagers getting stuck, so I think I'm happy with it. And it looks like it's raining outside right now, which is kind of fitting, as the next thing I want to build is a graveyard in this open space beside the church. And let's just start by adding some stone bricks, spaced 5 blocks apart. And then on top of all of those, let's just place a slab. I want the entrance to be on this side, so let's go 4 iron bars, and then same thing on this side, we'll just leave that open. And then we can simply fill in the rest of the space with the iron bars going all the way around. And then I just want to build a small pathway leading over to it from the main one, so let's quickly dig out some space for that. And then I'm thinking for this one, we just fill it in using primarily coarse dirt with a bit of mossy cobblestone mixed in. Yeah, I'm liking this path. The sheep is kind of getting in the way here, but let's go ahead and dig out some of the actual graves, maybe just something like that. And then we can just fill these in with podzol. Get this back to grass. I think that's looking good. And then for the headstones, I think is what you call them, I'm just thinking we use some andesite stairs. I went ahead and added a few more grave sites. However, I did leave a few spots, like right here for example, open, as I don't want the area to look too busy. And as you can see, I also put some flower pots around, so let's go ahead and fill these all in to bring a bit of color into the area. And you could also imagine that maybe some of the villagers have relatives in this area that have passed on, so they're visiting them and leaving some flowers, so just kind of add some lore into the world. I want to continue adding smaller details to the village, and I was thinking this spot right here could be perfect for a small well. And I'm just keeping it simple, using stone bricks for the bottom and spruce wood for the rest of it. But of course, let's just finish it off by adding a bit of water. And now that we have some easy access to water, let's go ahead and build a farm, I think right here, and another one right in this spot. So let's go ahead and just add a few water sources, and let's also add some to this area as well. The water is all in place, and I'm thinking we just cover these ones up with a spruce slab, a stone brick wall, and a lantern. Trying to add as much light as I can to this area and mob proof it as much as possible, since when I add more villagers into the area, I really don't want them to die. All of those are in place, so I'm just going ahead and tilling all of the ground. Both of the farms are tilled and ready to go, so let's just quickly swing by our house and grab some seeds. I've been storing a bunch of the wheat seeds in our blacksmith here just because I have a bunch of chests. Yeah, okay, wow, look at that, I have a lot of seeds. It might be nice though to make one of them a carrot or potato farm, so let's quickly check our storage room here. Should have some... Yeah, is that gonna be enough carrots? Maybe, I don't know, let's go see. I think I want this higher farm to be wheat, so let's plant all of the seeds. That one's looking good. Let's go ahead and plant our carrots. I'm thinking though that we are not gonna have enough to get the whole thing filled in. And yeah, I was only able to get about half of it filled in, so let's go find somewhere to grab some more carrots. I have a really big field of carrots right beside our villager trading hall, so let's go ahead and gather a bunch of these up. Okay, I think what is this, like almost 6 stacks? A little over 6 stacks? That is definitely gonna be enough. Alrighty, more carrots have been obtained, let's get this thing filled in. Farms are in and looking good. That's a pretty easy way to fill out some space, and it also ties into the village theme pretty nicely. And for the rest of these smaller open patches, let's just keep it simple and use some bone meal to make the areas look a little bit more natural. And I also brought my shulker full of flowers, so we can use these as well to bring more color into the area. I'm also using a little bit of the new dry grass, which I think looks especially nice near the boulders. It's fairly subtle, but I just spent half an hour going through the entire village, adding short grass and flowers all over the place, and I think it's looking a lot more natural now, a lot more put together, so I'm glad I took the time to do that. And I also have some glow lichen and lanterns on me, so I want to go ahead and add this stuff all over the place to hopefully mob proof this area a bit better, as I really don't want all the villagers to die again. So you can probably do a lantern like right there will be nice. Right here on the well I think would be a good spot. Yeah, look how dark it is over here. I mean, I should probably just sleep instead of doing this in the dark like this, but I don't know, maybe one there. Can probably add one right there, that'll work. Right here's a good spot. And for any areas where I don't really have like a house or something where I can hang lanterns off of, I think I'm gonna make these simple lamppost designs. I'm even gonna add some right on top of the graveyard fence. I think that'll really help with this area right here. I know it's not perfect, but I added as much lighting as I could without going too overboard to the point where the whole build just doesn't look good anymore, so let's just carry on. As you can see, the interiors for most of the houses are a complete mess right now, so the next thing I want to do is get the floors and ceilings in place so we can build the actual interiors. So thinking something just like this, pretty simple, just a basic little room right here, some stairs going up to the second floor, nice little railing using some fences, and a little bit of lighting. Really, all I want is a nice base for ourselves so we can add the actual details for each of the professions. So like this one's the weaponsmith, now we can easily decorate it to be the weaponsmith. So let's crack on and get all these interiors prepped and ready to go. Alrighty, the walls and ceilings and everything are in place for all of the houses, so I thought we'd go ahead and decorate this first one, which is of course for the shepherd. So we'll give them a few looms right here, maybe a chest for some storage, and a little flower pot with an oak sapling in it. And I also want to add some sheep to the pen, so let's grab a little bit of wheat here. There's a bunch of sheep super close by, so let's just lure these guys over and they can hang out in that pen. Come on guys, welcome to your new home. And I think 4 sheep should be plenty. You know what, let's breed these guys, why not? Let's quickly close this before any escape, and honestly, I think that's pretty much good enough for our shepherd. Next up, I want to detail the butcher, and I did put these 2 buildings right beside each other on purpose, because I'm imagining maybe they slaughter some of the animals from over here in the actual butcher. And let's get started by adding a small cooking area in this corner right here. Since the block for the butcher profession is the smoker, I think it makes sense. And then beside that, I was thinking we could do a countertop made out of stripped spruce wood with a bit of an oak trapdoor here so we can get in and out. And then on top of the table, we can do a pressure plate, which maybe they use to like weigh the meat or whatever. And then we can also do a couple of item frames with some raw meat in them. Another fun idea I had was making some kind of meat hanging off of the ceiling, and I'm just doing that with netherrack and the quartz ore. And we can even detail this further by placing some redstone dust on the ground, which sort of looks like blood dripping off of it. I quite like that, so let's go ahead and add a couple more, maybe just a little bit more redstone dust right there, and I think this is a pretty nice looking butcher, honestly. I just remembered we should add some beds to all of these houses, so let's quickly shear all of these sheep. And I've just been using this as my kind of temporary base, so let's just go ahead and craft a bunch of beds. And then heading back to the shepherd once more, let's go upstairs and place down a couple of these beds. And my plan for all of these houses is to just kind of detail the bottom floors, and then the second floors can just be for beds so that the villagers will actually have somewhere to sleep and won't really get stuck or have anything in their way. But as you can see, we still have so many houses that need to be decorated, so let's not waste any time and get straight to work. And the next house I want to tackle is the library, and even though we just put all of these floors in, I'm really not liking the stone look for, you know, a library. I think it's a little bit too cold, so let's replace it with something else. And I'm just thinking some dark oak will look much better. That's looking pretty good, and in this corner right here, I was thinking we could do a little bit of a desk, just using the lectern with the book and quill in it. Plus, that's the actual workstation for, you know, the librarians, so I think it's a good call. And then just right here, I'm thinking a small little rug will look nice. And we can't have a library without bookshelves, so I'm thinking we do one right here, and then probably the same thing on the other side, and it might be even nice if we mix in a few of the chiseled bookshelves. It's a little cramped and tight in here, but let's also just throw some of the books in the actual chiseled bookshelves, as I think that'll look a little bit nicer. And for one final touch, I think we just do a little painting right here, maybe not that one. Yeah, I think that one's nice, so we'll get rid of that dirt, and you know what? This is a pretty nice library. Moving right on to the next one, this house right here is for the weaponsmith, and we have a nice open area right here. So I'm thinking we do a bit of a storage area with a crafter, a chest, and a little shelf right here, and on top of that, let's do a flower pot and an amethyst cluster. And then to tie into the theme of the weaponsmith, I'm thinking we do some item frames right here, and then we can display a bunch of swords, which I think will look pretty awesome, to be honest. I went ahead and added a painting as well as a small carpet here, and I'm happy to call this one finished. Moving right along, the next house is for the mason, and since these guys sell bricks, I was thinking we could kind of tie into that. First, do a couple of decorated pots right here, get rid of that temporary torch for now, and if we do a shelf like that, and maybe another one, something like that, and then on these we can display a bunch of the regular flower pots, maybe a few more scattered around here, and yeah, I'm liking that. The interior on this one is super small, so we don't have a lot of room, but a small little painting should at least help add a little bit of color into the area. At least the next house, which is for the toolsmith, is quite a bit bigger, so we should have more room for details. And since the forge is just on the other side of this wall, I was thinking we'd do a small fireplace. So let's do some stairs kind of going inwards like this, and then we'll do some upside down ones above, which I think creates a kind of cool shape. And then let's go ahead, remove these 4 planks, just grab those back real quick and replace that with the black stone as well. And then in this spot, I want to add a couple of campfires, and we can just kind of enclose them using some trapdoors. And I think it makes sense for this area to have some seating, so let's go ahead and build a bit of like a bench here, just using some birch stairs and signs. And then to make the area a little bit cozier, let's go ahead and build a red carpet. And I mean, we could also do a painting on this wall, maybe, no, not a desert one, please. 3 times in a row? Sure, that one's nice. We still have some room on the other side of the house, so let's go ahead and build maybe like a little bit of a storage area right here. I went ahead and built a shelf using spruce trapdoors, and to tie into the toolsmith theme, I was thinking we could display some tools here, so maybe a pickaxe, shovel, and regular axe. And on top, let's just throw some amethyst clusters and a lantern if I can. And yeah, I think I'm really liking this interior. This is nice. I just wanted to quickly mention that I am including all of the different villager workstations for each house, but some of them are outside, so I'm not bothering including them inside as well. Carrying on, let's do the Fletcher house next, and let's just start off with a small little carpet right in the center of the room, and then right beside the staircase, I'm thinking a small little flower pot, and inside we can display a torch flower. A table should fit nicely beside that, and let's just make this one out of dark oak, and to help light up the area, let's place a lantern. And to tie into the Fletcher theme, let's display a bow as well as a crossbow. I'm liking that, and on the other wall, let's make a small shelf, so let's go ahead and do some bookshelves. Above that, we'll do some spruce trapdoors, maybe a lantern there, a couple of flower pots, and inside, let's do some oak saplings. Back where it all began with our fisherman house, let's head inside and get to decorating. I want to make a small bedroom right here, so let's go ahead and place a bed, and we can do a barrel right there, and on top, a little bit of a flower pot. And then to make this area a little cozier, let's go ahead and add a bit of carpet. Can get rid of this temporary torch, and let's just throw a lantern kind of in the center of the ceiling. Maybe just go ahead and patch up this cobblestone with some more carpet, get rid of that torch, and then right here, let's do a painting. The painting is in place and looking nice, so let's head downstairs, add another barrel with a lantern on top, and I think a chest here will look good. And then of course, a fisherman is gonna need a fishing rod, so we can hang one up right there. Just a few more interiors to go, and next up is the armorer. In this corner, I wanna do a small table just made out of scaffolding and birch stairs, and on top we can do a lantern, and above, let's do a small painting. On the other wall, I want to have a really big armor display, almost like it's kind of for sale or something like that, so let's just place a bunch of armor stands. And I just remembered that you can dye leather armor, so I thought this would be a really fun way to bring some more color into the build. It's pretty simple, but I really like how that looks with all the different colors of armor. That is super cool. Next up is the leather worker, and I really like how these rolls of leather turned out on the outside, so I think let's go ahead and build a few more in here as well. We can switch these ones up a little bit though by also including some brown terracotta to look like maybe a darker type of leather, which I think is nice. And then of course we'll add all the buttons to look like the kind of pole going through the leather, and we can even make this one look a little bit thicker using some carpet. Let's get rid of this temporary torch, don't need that. We can place maybe a crafting table in this corner and a lantern to light up the area instead. And then to look like they maybe have some kind of leather hanging up and maybe drying, we can just place a bit of it on the walls. Maybe one more right there. And yeah, I think our leatherworker house is done. Jumping over to the windmill, which is of course for the farmer, I want to go ahead and build a little bit of a living area in here as well, so let's add a bed. Beside that, we can do a bookshelf with a couple of composters and a lantern to light up the area. And then so we can access higher into the tower if we want, let's place a ladder, get rid of that slab, and place a trapdoor. To fill out this other wall, let's place down some hay bales, and then I think we can make a small little shelf in this corner, and on top we'll do some flower pots with a sapling and azure bluet in it. Hard to believe that we're on the final house already, and this one is for our cartographer. And as you can probably see from what's in my hand, I went ahead and made a map of our brand new village. As lots of you probably know, maps are one of my favorite things in the entire game, so I had to go ahead and make one of our brand new village. And just looking at this thing, it's super awesome, but this cherry blossom biome is really calling to me. We definitely gotta fill that in with something. Anyway, let's carry on adding more details, and we definitely need a cartography table, so let's add one of those there. On the back wall, let's make a simple shelf out of spruce trapdoors, and on top, if we can actually, if I can get on top of here, I want to place an amethyst cluster. There we go. Let's place a chest here. I want to do a campfire, which will extinguish, and then right here, a flower pot with another azure bluet in it. Beside that, we can do yet another shelf using some bookshelves, and on top let's just do a double chest and a flower pot with a sapling in it. I added a couple of tables using dark oak, and I also placed this painting on the wall, which kind of looks like some mountains or maybe like some islands or something like that. I don't know, regardless, I think it fits the cartographer theme pretty nicely. Let's add a few more details to these tables though. I'm thinking a couple of iron pressure plates sort of look like empty maps, and then we can do a few candles here, which will of course light with our flint and steel. And for a bit of world building, I think it'd be fun to display a map of our 2 other regions. So right here I have a map of our island. It's a little bit cut off, but I think you get the idea. The other civilization in our world is the desert city that we made last episode, so I also went ahead and made a map of that too. Again, this one's a little bit cut off, but I think it's pretty fun having both of these in here. Kind of ties our whole world together. And on the topic of our desert city, there's something that we quickly need to do. When we built this desert city, we found this camel, and I got a bunch of awesome name ideas from all of you, but the one that I went for was Humphrey, which I think is just perfect for our little camel guy here. So yeah, say hello to Humphrey, everybody. Humphrey, can you not show your butt to all the people? Come on, what are you doing, my guy? With that side mission completed, now that we finally have all the interiors completed, I think it's about time that we bring some villagers over to populate the area. I feel pretty bad about this, but I have some villagers who have been trapped under here for like over 600 days at this point, so I want to bring all of these guys over to our brand new village. And I think the easiest way to transport them is going to be using rails, but it might be a little bit tricky getting them into the minecarts. Okay, this is a little scuffed, but if I put some minecarts in here and press this button, hopefully, yeah, that picks them up. It's actually, okay, that actually works. Nice. I just need to connect this rail now, going all the way over to the village. So I just set up a rail line going all the way across the water, and then hopefully they'll just fall right off of this, and then I can break the minecarts after, and then hopefully they'll just explore the village and find their homes. So let's give this a try, and hopefully it'll work. Okay, first villager is making his way over there. Hopefully he makes it with no issues. Okay, that's awesome. It looks like the villager made it all the way over with no problems, so let's bring over the rest of the villagers. Looks like maybe this guy got stuck. Oh, let me give these guys a push. Oh, whoa, what is going on? What is this? I've never seen anything like that before. What in the world? Anyways, I was gonna say I need my minecarts back, so let's break all of these. Oh man, that was the weirdest thing I've seen today. I have never seen that before. That was funny. But yeah, I need my minecarts back so these guys can roam free. Enjoy your new village, guys. I hope you like it better than living underground. I also added a little bit of water here to kind of push the villagers closer to the minecarts so they actually make their way inside. And of course it doesn't work. The second group of villagers have made their way over. Once again, this just looks so weird, but anyways, let's let these guys roam free. There's still a few more villagers back there, but I did bring over about 15 or 20 of them, so I think I'll just leave the rest over there in case we need more villagers for something on the island. But with that said, let's go ahead and get rid of this railway as it's a bit of an eyesore. Just like that, the railway is all cleaned up and this area is back to normal. But now that our village is populated and full of life, I think we can finally call this village build complete. As always, if you want to download this world for yourself, you can get the world download on my Patreon or by becoming a member on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching and happy building.